2, in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order of March 12, 2020, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. We are conducting this meeting virtually. This meeting is being recorded. Following the presentation by the applicant, for which I will allow the town planner or the applicant to share the screen if they wish to make their own presentation, the board will ask questions of the applicant. Following this, I will ask for public comment. Consistent with the Select Board's temporary policy directive and guidelines for public meeting and public hearings conducted via remote participation due to COVID-19 state of emergency, the public is invited to view the meeting as an attendee only and will not be permitted video access. If an attendee has a question during the public comment period for each application, they can use the question answer function or the raise hand button, which is I'm sorry, I always forget, *9 on the phone. Sorry, Heather, she'll let us know. Where you will need to type in your name and address prior to your question so it can be read by me and included in the record of the meeting if you're going to write in. Or if you raise your hand, I will unmute you one at a time so you can ask your question. Questions will be answered to the extent possible. All video screens will be turned off with the exception of the board, the town planner, and the current applicant. Once the board has acted on an application, the applicant will be returned to an attendee and is free to leave the meeting. At this time, I will ask for a roll call vote of the board members. Mr. Faia.
Present.
Mr. Kindermans.
Present.
Great. Sorry, Heather. So if there's any, I don't see any, are there any people on the phone?
There was before.
Okay.
So it's *9 to raise your hand and *6 to mute and unmute yourself.
Okay, if you're on the phone. That's great. All right, with all of that out of the way, why don't we go ahead and get started? Our 7 p.m., the trustees' reservations. Yeah. Hi.
Hello. Hopefully
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yeah,
Go
back.
ahead.
Yeah, so this is back again for you might remember last year we had considerable public comment and interest in our special permitting process at the plants. And we ended up deciding last year to separate out into 2 special permits. One is on a 3-year basis for smaller events, and that was approved last year. And then for larger events, we were going annually. So we got approved last year. The pandemic happened and none of the events that were in the permit actually ended up happening. But we still were glad that we went through the process and learned a lot of great things working with the community to try to get through that. So this year we're essentially applying for a similar permit as last year with the assumption that most of the things that are happening within this application won't actually happen, but we want to make sure that we do diligence in case that the atmosphere in terms of events and what we're allowed for community attendance may change by the end of the year, and maybe some of this might be allowable. So we've worked again to get some feedback from our community members that had some concern last year, but essentially it's a similar permit. One thing has changed since I submitted the application. We do have Free Fun Friday listed as one of the events. We have since heard from the Highland Street Foundation that that program has ended as of last year. So that event will not take place this year.
Got it. Did anything else, I mean, I looked through the existing permit and it looked like it was just basically the same exact parking, the same everything. Did anything change in the specific events?
Nothing changed with the specific events. I have had preliminary conversations with some of the partners. Most of the events that are on here are our community partners are leads for those events. And so we've talked a little bit, and most of these programs are already starting to be planned in some sort of virtual format. So I suspect that will change. I have had conversations with BJ Dunn at the National Park Service too about we make some assumptions about being able to have access to the overflow lot at Minuteman National Park for some of these, and he still is going on good faith that provided we need these lots for these events in the future that they would extend for these specific events. Other than that, nothing has really changed. We did get a letter submitted, and I think it made it into the agenda from Marcy Tyre Berkeley, just submitting some questions and some clarification about our site plan. And I did talk to our team about submitting a more detailed site plan, or at least sharing that with community members. But
I got to be honest, I don't remember seeing that. So if you sent that, did the other board members see that?
I think it came in today. So Heather acknowledged receipt, and it's uploaded on the website, but folks might not have seen it yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it came in.
Afternoon.
Yeah,
It was the email was received at 1 o'clock and Heather forwarded
we
it
got
to the
we got
board.
it.
So
Yeah,
I'm
we
not
got
sure
at
if I-
1:30.
Yeah, I did not get a chance to look at this.
Yeah,
Comment.
Basically, I mean, in summarizing it, and please correct me if you think otherwise, but summarizing it is that the site plan is not really up to date, and she would like to see an updated site plan with some additions to it, some edits to it.
Yeah, I think a little bit of this too is still working out kind of the dynamic of like trying to figure out with community interest what is under the purview of this board and what is probably up for some discussion, with our group too, but vested interest in the old man. So we're still trying to figure out some of that. I think in terms of the site plan, most of this is up to date with the exception of the overflow parking, and I think that's the part that would be of interest to that group, and that we can update that plan, and I'm happy to resubmit it to the board within this week, or submit it to that group. I don't know what the best process is for that.
Okay, I'm just looking at the overflow parking. For the emergency overflow parking.
Yeah, that's the emergency overflow parking that's on our site, adjacent to our current parking lot that, we would in a normal year potentially use 3 or 4 times a year.
Okay.
There is just some concern, I think, about wanting to make sure to identify exactly where that is and where that isn't. So that way, I think in the past, there's been some incidents where prior to me, they've done some overflow parking in some not approved areas. So I think we've cleared that up internally, but I think just having that for the record on the site plan is something we're totally comfortable with doing.
Okay.
Right.
Great.
Yeah, I agree.
Any questions from the board?
Nope.
Oh,
It was pretty clear.
pretty clear. Okay, let me go ahead and open up for public comment. Any public comment?
I don't know whether you can hear me, since I've been blocked from being shown.
Oh, yeah, we can hear you. If you can just tell us who you are and your address, that
Yes,
would be great.
I'm Jonathan Keyes, and I've been involved with the Old Manse for many years, and I am very much in support of this application.
That's great. Did we get your address?
91 Liberty Street.
There you go. Okay. Any other comments?
Can I
Yes.
speak now? My name is Nancy Frisella Lee. My address is 140 Walden Street, and I am a member of the working group. I too support the application in general, and am really happy that it's 1 year only, because I think there are some things that we still want to work out and we haven't been able to do so because of what's been going on all year. I do want to just make a couple of points that I want to stress. Marcy Berkeley submitted a letter, and I agree with everything that's in her letter. I want to make sure you know that there's been no site manager at the Old Manse for over a year. Michael has done a great job of trying to oversee the Old Manse, but he's based in Fruitlands, and that's a concern of ours that really I think the trustee is, and to no fault of Michael, this is not directed at you, it's really to the higher ups. I think, I think there always is funding problems that they always attribute that to for the Old Manse, but we see the trustees spending lots of hiring people in for other positions, and considering that the Old Manse is such a prize in the trustees' portfolio, I always want to stress when in public forums like this to make sure people know just how important this isn't just one trustee's property of their 120 properties. It is, I think, the jewel in their crown. And so I think it is remiss of them for not having a site manager on site. And I don't think for these events, for example, if they do go forward, if we're able to hold events this year, in the coming year, I hope that they will really have a site manager in place. And I just want to know, the Old Manse is very busy now. I walk there a lot. I live close by, and I see people love walking in that landscape, and they're really enjoying it. People need to get out, and it's adjacent to the Old North Bridge, of course. And people have questions. Visitors are really interested. And in the summer, especially when it was so busy, a couple of years ago, our working group made a lot of effort to plan additional parking spaces in that very limited parking area. And in the summer, there was no staffing there to prevent cars from parking on the lawn. And on really beautiful summer days, I did see people going on the parking lot, going onto the grass and parking outside of the parking lot. So I just want, it's not a criticism. It's just something that I think we all need to be aware of. And I want you to know it, because there's not a lot of opportunity to share this with the town.
Great, thank you. Any other public comments? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comments. So it seems to me that points well taken. We haven't had a year to try this. Everything that we used to decide last year this okay seems to be the same. So we're just going to have to see how it goes. If you don't mind doing the site plan, to submit the more corrected site plan. And obviously everyone, probably mostly Ray, will be paying attention to make sure that everything is followed correctly. So that speaks to, the staff that you have on site and all that. Other comments from the board, or are you ready for a motion?
Yeah, I guess, Michael, did you have any response to the points raised of site manager?
I mean, so it's all kind of directly responding to the pandemic and the unprecedented situation that we have. I think at the same time, we had kind of simultaneous staffing changes that didn't have anything to do with the pandemic. We had 2 staff members who were the main staff, our engagement manager and our gift shop manager, left to pursue other ventures. And so they coincided with a hiring freeze with our nonprofit organization. So that all being said, there is a site presence. We do have, stewardship team that are there every day. We have myself that's there. We have some of our curatorial team that's watching very closely, because it's a very important and fragile home. So we have staffing there. I am very cognizant of the fact that during a time like this with a nonprofit, that my priority is keeping as many of our employees engaged and working during this time. And due to the fact that we can't responsibly open the Old Manse right now and collect any revenue because it's not safe to do so, I think that it's been a tough but wise decision to keep not from hiring a full-time staff with not having enough work for them to be able to do at this point. However, we are beginning this conversation about what it would look like to reopen at some point for public tours or school groups. And we will have someone hired, engaged, before that happens. So that way we're prepared going into it. But I do stand by, I think, I hear the point of how valuable this property is and what it means to the community. But I do think that we are present there. And I think that this is the right and appropriate amount of staffing for not being open currently.
Thank you. That's helpful. And the only other thing I wanted to say is, it looks like we did have a condition in last year's permit for prior to the commencement of any event, we would get an updated site plan that showed the overflow parking. Obviously, since there were no events, that didn't happen yet, but I think we can actually already have the condition in there for that.
Yeah.
I was sorry, Robbie, in the original one, the condition is
9.
9.
Mhm.
Condition 9.
Great. Okay, so it wasn't set up with the specific events. It was a blanket condition. So we can just say that we need that right away.
Okay.
However we would say that, Elizabeth. Any other?
I think it, I mean, I think the condition's fine, and Michael's just going to submit the plan as soon as it's finished.
I'm
I think
fine.
that's-
I have no doubts the plan isn't.
I am not worried about it either. Elizabeth,
I mean, if it's an issue, if it's an issue, you can say, and put a date in. Michael, when do you think you'll have the plan? You know,
I
end of
think by the
January, end
yeah.
of February?
end of January is perfect.
great.
Okay, so you can just say by February 1st, the applicant shall submit the updated site plan.
That works for me. Does that work for the rest of the board?
Yep.
Good, works for me.
Any other comments? Do I have a motion?
Ravi?
Sure,
Oh,
I'm finding it later.
okay,
Motion.
Okay,
Oh,
go ahead.
I got it. The
Okay.
motion to approve the renewal of a special permit under sections 431, 434, 545, and 11.6 of the zoning bylaw to hold large outdoor events over 50 people at 269 Monument Street. And I think consistent with the, conditions and findings that we have in last year's special permit
And for a period of 1 year.
for 1 year.
For a period of 1 year, and then the updated condition number 9
Yep.
with the date of February 1st, 2021.
So moved.
Second,
Great. All in favor, Mr. Faia,
Aye.
Mr. Kindermans,
aye.
Ms. Akers Moore, aye. Thank you. We hope you'll
Thank
actually
you.
get to have some events eventually.
Thank
Yeah.
you, and you are all welcome to come and visit us when we can open again.
We will see you there. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 7:05, John and Ashley Tillery.
Yes, hi, I'm Elise Stone and I'll be speaking for the Tillerys.
Hi, Elise.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, good, good. So this is an application for an apartment that's over the 750 square feet. The property is at 42 Sandy Pond Road, and it consists of right now there's a single family house there that is 2,406 square feet. It was renovated in 2020, which is when the current owners moved in. It's a single family house with a single car garage. And her parents are moving here from California. And so the new structure will be for them. We looked at various places on the site. We looked originally at attaching the garage, but it really didn't work because it's a fairly steep driveway and it became very complicated with the construction. So the second option we looked at was placing it behind the house. So it's a barn structure. It sits behind the house. It sits 170 feet behind from Sandy Pond. So the structure is a garage below, completely unfinished, and the apartment is on the second floor. And so the garage is a 2-car plus garage, but they're going to use it because for 2 of them, and then they only their current garage is very small for the main house, so it'll be used for equipment, all that, bikes, etc. And so the second floor is the first floor is 990 square feet, and the second floor is 990. It's basically a rectangle. It's kind of built into the back of the hill. It'll be 29 feet from the front because the lot goes back up, and then 25 feet in the back. So it's a large lot, and the FAR for this lot would allow 12,248 square foot structures. So the existing square footage of the house and the garage is 2676 square feet. The new square footage, the house and garage, is 990. So together we have 4656 square feet, which is way below the allowable FAR for the lot. So the current house is completely conforming to all the setbacks. It's conforming to the lot square footage. The current lot is conforming with frontage. And then the new structure will conform to the main house setbacks, which are the 15 feet on the sides and 30 in the rear, 40 in the front. So that's kind of with these accessory structure apartments, they have to comply to the main house setbacks, not to that, you know, you can get as close as 5 feet set behind the house. So they do conform. And I think that's about it. I mean, there will be a new driveway that'll kind of come off and then go around to the back to the new.
Can we pull up the site plan maybe just
Yes,
to?
I think the site plan would help. We sent a new one today. Did you get that, Heather?
We didn't.
We didn't get it, yeah.
I got it at 6:45 and I put it up on the website.
Yeah, so there was one, it's
Which-
the house, the location of the structure is not changed. But we did reduce the amount of pavement that comes around. So the whole driveway, we tried to make it as minimal as we needed to get the car around, but it will be, will be a paved driveway.
But you are taking away, was there an existing kind of circle in the front, or not a circle, but
No,
kind
no,
of like point in
that
the
is,
front?
that is staying. That is staying. So now you kind of come up, I don't know, did anyone drive by today or see it? So you currently see the driveway, it's on the right side. The driveway actually comes up and there is a turnaround. You see it said out of gravel there. So that comes out, but then it'll spur off and then the driveway will kind of go up and around. There is actually, the driveway's a little bigger that goes towards the front. It didn't show correctly on this. I mean, the current one kind of goes more in front of the house.
Okay.
Good, so I noticed I hadn't seen this latest driveway layout. I saw the earlier plan, and I did notice indeed that there was a lot of pavement there. A lot of impervious area, and then that coupled with the garage, it's a lot of impervious area, and I do think that I'm not seeing anything, so I'm just assuming that there is nothing that would capture any stormwater runoff or anything of that nature.
No, you mean any drains? No, right now we haven't thought of anything of that. I mean, it's a hill and they've had no issue. I mean, even if it goes down, they've had no issues with drainage or.
No, but that's just the fact that it is a hill and it's going down the hill. Somebody downhill from this house will get some issues eventually, and it'll just also will end up in the town's stormwater system. So we need to make sure that we have enough capacity there, and one of the ways to just sort of mitigate that. Go ahead.
So what is very deceptive about this plan is that it's not drawn, the rear of the property is not drawn to scale. So the back of this garage is over 281 feet from the rear property line. So
but I do still think that. Go ahead. No, sorry. I do still think that there is a lot of paving and a lot of impervious area there. And, I've brought it up before, brought it up last month as well, another project. And I do think that, we can't just, we need to be a bit more protective, I think, of natural resources being our groundwater, being one of them. And also we can't just assume that the town's stormwater infrastructure can just handle additional runoff. So I'd like to see something that will catch roof runoff and potentially infiltrate it. I know it's a cost to do a driveway with catch basins, etc. So, but a roof could potentially be infiltrated relatively easily, and I think that protects the town a little bit. It's at least it's a water management system.
I mean, I think we'd be amenable to that.
You know, and you
Yeah.
know whether, yeah.
Elizabeth or Ray, thoughts on that? What kind of exploration we would need?
I think whenever anybody can ever do, you know, roof runoff recharge is fairly simple, especially with a new, you know, a new structure. So I think that's a fairly simple process. So at least this driveway is going to be paved?
Yes, I mean, I did talk to you briefly. I mean, when we first talked, I said, you know, that the top area, you know, that if it had to be gravel, they would make, you know, they would do it gravel. But, you know, we discussed how difficult that is with snow removal, et cetera. But it's, yeah, so there's not many other choices.
Right. So,
Yeah.
right. So they prepared this revised plan after I looked at the first plan, which had a significant more amount of pavement.
Yep.
So this is, you know, reduces that by, you know, quite a bit. And we did talk about, you know, whether, you know, part of it could be gravel, and gravel, you know, after, you know, it doesn't take too long, basically just becomes impervious anyways. And it, for the most part, becomes a maintenance issue. Oh, Heather, you can.
So do you see that second driveway on this original plot plan, actually? That's what I was asking about.
Yes, that's yeah, he just didn't show it on this revised plan. I don't
Okay,
know.
but that's
Yeah,
still there.
that's there, yeah, that's there.
Okay.
Okay.
But also understanding your comment about, you know, there is, I'm just waiting for, oh, there you go. So that was the first proposal. So you can leave that there. Thank you, Heather. So, I mean, this plan just, it doesn't show the, you know, the driveway in the front either. So I do understand. The one thing that would also be fairly easy to add would just be along this, Elise, you said this lot slopes to the back?
Yes, yes.
Does it
So
slope
it,
to the rear? Okay.
Not too sloped. Between the house and this garage is not terrible, but then there's a big slope in the front. So you'd kind of be driving up as you get off the driveway, driving on the new driveway. This area kind of slopes up, and then, but like I said, between the garage and the house, it's not bad, but then it does go up in the back. So they're going to have you know, they're proposing a deck off the back that'll be almost just a few feet off grade, if you know what I mean, where it's going to be, it's a full 2 stories in the front.
Okay, so this driveway from the house slopes down some to the proposed garage and accessory dwelling unit, correct?
No, it's
No, you can leave that plan up, Heather.
It slopes from the garage. So you see, you go up here from that thing. So it slopes up to the house, and then it starts sloping up to the dwelling unit. So the dwelling unit will be higher than
Okay.
than the house, but it's not. No, that's
Okay.
deceptive. It's not
Okay.
higher than the house, but it's close. Even though the structure itself is shorter than the house, if you put them side by side, it's a little higher. The contours in the back.
Okay. So what also may be an option, Theo, is to at least along a portion of the backside of the proposed driveway to just have like a stone infiltration trench at the edge of the driveway off the paved portion.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful, but knowing that roof runoff is clean water, it although this doesn't get any traffic anyway, so that would also be fine. Yeah, I am just in generally looking for as much infiltration as we can do. So I think it's yeah.
Well, Theo, with that,
So-
so that infiltration trench, is that?
An
kind of what you're
infiltration
looking
trench would do it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm deferring to you on this kind of expertise, so.
Yeah.
I-
Without going on a civil engineering bend, yes, a good infiltration trench would be acceptable.
Okay, I mean, I think your point is really valid, and so I don't want to dismiss it or have you not be satisfied with what we're
No,
saying
no.
or how it comes out, because I think it is a very worthwhile consideration for all of these applications.
Yeah.
Maybe let's move on to other comments, and then we can come back to this at the end. Robbie, did you have any other comments?
Yeah, just one sort of technical question is, I know when we do the kind of like, 50% addition on a non-conforming lot, we exclude decks and, screen porches and things, but I'm not sure I see language in the additional dwelling unit that talks about those things being excluded from gross floor area. I guess, Ray, if there's going to be a deck off of the garage, are we counting that as part of the dwelling unit's gross floor area or not?
Excluding basements, open or screen porches and decks. Robbie, in 4221.
Oh, is it in there in 4221?
Places for not more than 2 dwelling units provide the gross floor area excluding basements, open or screen porches and decks.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's about at all 1/5 of the gross floor area. Yeah, you're right, so it doesn't, that's
On
not,
4222, it doesn't say that.
yeah, you're right, it doesn't say that in the calculation of the actual.
So I just technically, are we supposed to be counting that? And is that included in the 990 that we're looking at here?
No, I mean, I was always under the impression that the gross, like whenever we've done gross floor area for non-conforming lots, we've never included anything that
Right.
was needed, except, garages, obviously. But it's
Mhm.
excluded all decks, porches, screen porches before. So if it's included in the 1,000 square feet, then we would not have a deck.
Yeah,
We would go
yeah.
for the deck, but
No,
yeah,
I think it's probably just,
yeah.
it feels like the intent of the bylaw is, if it's excluded in 4221, I'm not sure why it would be included in 4222, but
first-
I sort of
yeah,
defer to
I mean-
Ray and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I think like the first one I went for this a couple months ago, we did not include the deck,
Yeah,
the one over on
okay,
Hubbard Street, but
yeah,
Ray, what are your thoughts?
The decks definitely are not included.
okay. Yeah, that's all I need to hear. And then the other sort of question I had is, it looks like the new structures within the tree line, do we have a sense if there's, how much, tree clearance there's gonna have to be to put this new structure in there, or
I mean, I took some photos. It is a tree line, but they're not. I mean, there's really not heavy growth trees that I saw. So, and this is sitting kind of, it's going to back in. Again, this is like deceptive. So you see some of the bigger trees back there, but I mean, we wanted to get it. We kind of had to fit it in there so it fit with the setbacks just because of the angling of the side lot line. But
okay. Yeah, no, I guess looking at the photos, it looks like it's
you see, it's pretty clear
kind of
back
sparse
there.
back there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yep. That was my questions.
Okay.
Elizabeth.
Thanks. Let me go ahead and open up for public comment. I can't see anyone except all of us, so
Yeah, and I believe they did get some letters from neighbors. I'm not sure if they were emailed in or. Do you see
Yeah,
any?
we saw one letter.
Okay, yeah,
um,
because they did go out to the neighbors and just show them what they were doing, just to make sure that there was no comments. Although the structure really is not really near any other
Right,
houses.
right, right. And the letter that we did see was very supportive. So.
yep. So are there any comments? I don't see anyone. Heather, no one. All right, go ahead and close public comment then.
I'm sorry, I didn't get a
oh.
chance to.
Oh,
Hey,
sorry, Matt. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
Matt Johnson, select board, but former member of the planning board. And I just wanted to state relative to the gross floor area, I think we're talking about residential gross floor area, and the dwelling unit, would be circumscribed by the doors and windows that it has. It's not the exterior elements right outside of where the living space would happen.
Mhm.
Great.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yep. Anyone else? Okay, so closing public comment. I really focused on 4222 and if it satisfied all of that, and I did not have any issues with it. I think Deo, your issue is your point is well taken, and I don't want to make sure again that you don't feel like we're rushing through that point.
No, and thank you for that. Yeah, it's we haven't been bringing it up. I haven't been bringing it up before a lot, but it is something that I think is really important, especially going forward. And I might just bring it up more often because I do think it at 11.6 it fits right in there with the town services.
I agree with you. And like I said, I don't want to just, I mean, if you're comfortable that this is a solution that we can add on as a condition to this, then I'm comfortable with that.
I think that a nice infiltration trench would be a cost-effective solution, I think.
Okay.
There's other solutions, but this will be nice and cost-effective, I think.
And Elizabeth, is that something where you can say that you'll work with the applicant to get that, make sure it accomplishes our goals?
Yeah, because I think. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, is that Elise?
So you can just add a.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that.
Is it my turn?
Hold on, Elise was going to say one thing. Sorry, go ahead, Elise.
Yeah, no, and this is, I think Elizabeth's going to address it. Just if we could work together to show exactly where you would prefer it, that type of thing, that would be great.
And if you have any other opportunities to do anything else instead of, then, I'd be fine. We should be fine with that as well.
Okay.
So sorry, Elizabeth, so a condition that says that the applicant will work with you?
Nope. It would be prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall submit a revised plot plan showing infiltration areas along the driveway and roof recharge, roof runoff recharge for the garage, as well as it needs to be updated to show the additional circular driveway that's missing. And then I can just work with Elise on what that is.
That's great. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else from the board? Sorry, I meant to ask, we're okay with the parking here, correct? Under the commit, Ray, we don't have any issues with.
No, she's providing 2 parking spaces, only one's required.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
She actually addressed every item in the Article 32, so.
Yeah, I saw that. That was nice. So, okay, can I get a motion or any other comments?
I'll make a motion for the issuance of a special permit under sections 4222 and 11.6 of the zoning bylaw for John and Ashley Tillery to construct a 990 square foot additional dwelling unit at 42 Sandy Pond Road, parcel 02666, with the condition about with the condition about the infiltration trenches or the infiltration measures as Elizabeth just mentioned. And you were raising your hand, Elizabeth.
Yep, I do think it's important that the board make the finding, because this is over the 750 square feet, that, given the, the location of the accessory dwelling and the size of the lot, that it will not be substantially detrimental to the neighborhood.
Yeah, and I think looking at the factors in 11.6, we've identified some potential impact on natural environment that I feel we've adequately kind of addressed that concern such that it doesn't outweigh the benefit of having the additional dwelling unit, which, given the new bylaw is something that's in the public interest for the town. So we can make that finding. So I second.
Second, great. All right, all in favor, Mr. Faia,
Aye.
Mr. Kindermans,
Aye.
Ms. Akers Moore, aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good
Have a
night.
good night. Okay, moving on, 710 Commons in Newbury. Is it Vicky Everett? Are you here or? Not sure who's speaking for the applicant.
Yeah.
Is this, whose is this?
Whose screen is this? This is
Yeah, is
Vicky's
this the
screen.
applicant's?
Yep, this is Vicky's screen.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. Tom Everett, I'll be presenting, I guess.
Great.
So, as you know, we had the surveyor come out and they determined that the roof was in fact 4 inches too high. So we've changed pitch.
Tom,
Yeah,
can I interrupt? Tom, can I interrupt you for a second? So you've shared your screen, and I don't think you want us to see your email and everything. So if
Yeah,
you
I'm
want
trying to figure out how I get off of this. I am so bad.
well,
So I
Heather
do stop share.
Heather can get you off.
There we go.
There you
How's
go.
that? How's that better?
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we had the surveyor take a look at the height of the roof in the setback area. And in fact, it was 4 inches too high. So we had the architect change the pitch of the roof so that it's no longer a continuous roof going all the way down. There's sort of a step down.
Sorry, can we bring up the site plan? Heather, you can do that? Just so we can point out what we're talking about.
Do you want me to do it, Heather, or you want?
Heather, are you working on that?
She is, unless she wants me to do it.
Well, in any event, I also laid out the drainage so that you'd have a better understanding of that as well, which I also submitted to Heather.
All right. So
There we go.
all right. So we're talking about right now is in the setback area. I can't point at anything with because I don't have the control of the cursor, but
Yeah, it's the setback area of the proposed house.
Yep.
Where the proposed house is
There you
intruding on that. And so, in fact, we took a look at it and you're right, I think it was 15 feet, 4 inches. Because I think we were at 99.5 maybe. You know more about this than I do.
I don't believe that's the right plan you should be looking at. There was a new plan submitted, that shows the new roof on the survey.
Yeah, this is the January 13th one, Heather. Yep.
So there's a little sketch on the top that shows the new little roof and a 14-foot height.
Yep. Yep.
And I talked to the surveyor this morning, that 2 feet that's inside the little box, that's where he gets to 15 feet from the property line. So it's 14 feet high at 15 feet from the property line.
Okay. Did you want to present anything more? I mean, we just kind of jumped in with this part, but we'll probably want to.
Well, and then I also provided a just sort of a layout of the site drainage that we had in place and the proposed additional site drainage. I don't know if you uploaded that, Heather. I sort of did that late in the day.
I know I haven't seen that. Has anyone else on the board seen it? Okay.
No, I have not, and it's also not uploaded. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, well, and so then also one of the other issues that we had last month was there was some concern that the ADU still showed a doorway, but in fact the gray area that they show in the doorway is if you read the drawings properly, it's meant to be that's going to be an infill, so it will actually be a solid wall per that drawing.
Okay. So we all, Theo and Ravi, you all went out and took a look at the site?
Yep.
Okay. So let's back up to bigger picture here. I think the main issue is the view from Sleepy Hollow. I mean, up at the top from the site, I didn't have an issue really with any of it. But when you go back down, the main issue is we're stewards of this property and it's going to be very visible. So whether we need to see more is my kind of sorry, can someone mute? I keep hearing myself back. Was that Rob? Okay. Oh, hi. So just to say that I think we need to pay careful attention to that when we're deciding on this. And I'm not sure we have at least I'm not sure I have all of the information or idea about how this will look from Sleepy Hollow. So I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that, or if you agree, disagree.
Yeah, that's definitely something I thought about and drove around from all the perspectives in the cemetery. You know, it on the one hand, it's not like you don't see lots of houses around every other direction you look. But it is adding one more on that high point on the hill. So I agree. We should kind of think about that. And I guess it is taking the second story off the existing. So it's a little bit of mitigation from that maybe, but it's a good point.
Theo, were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I visited the site and I thought everything was fine, and then I indeed went to the cemetery, and then it's like, wow, this is going to be visible. And I agree with Ravi that it's not the only house that's going to be visible or that is visible, but we can definitely, I mean, there's definitely opportunity here to soften that view and looking at the landscape that the applicant has done already on the site, on the other pieces of the site. I think I'm not sure, but I think he'd be looking at doing some landscaping there as well on that side. So, and it would be nice to hear what the plans are, the landscaping plans. And
Yes, I agree. And I think really this is just to say, I don't think we could tell just by looking at that. I think we need another visual marker there that we can go out and look at and see the visual. And also, can we take a look kind of at do you have a grading plan of this site so we can kind of see the topography? Is there a grading plan? Oh. Oh, sorry.
Can you see?
Can that be made bigger?
Yep.
And I know we also received the comments about the trees in terms of what has been taken down and in terms of the tree bylaw. Elizabeth or Ray, you'll have to tell me where we are with that.
Well, so the information that was provided, that was the property owner working with the Public Works Department on issues with trees. It had nothing to do with the tree bylaw. So the development of this project, they will need to file for a tree removal permit prior to the issuance of a building permit.
How does that?
So,
oh, sorry.
Based on this grading plan, everything in the rear of the property is going to be removed to accommodate this driveway.
And what has already been removed?
So any of the
Public Works approved of that, so there was no issue with, since there was no application, or is that, I'm just asking, is that in conflict with the fact that there was no,
Excuse me,
wasn't
but
applied for under the bylaw?
can we pull up the plan that he submitted? Because I thought I saw that all the trees were on town property and he removed them at his expense. That's the way I read it. So maybe you might want to just look at his plan that he submitted.
Yeah, I think that's when you read the application, all those trees that were on cemetery property.
Are we bringing up that plan?
Yes, but we're working on very, very slow internet.
Oh, yeah.
The joys of working from home.
Oh, God. And I'll say, in theory, I have no problem with this. It's just that view, which makes me say, we got to take a closer look. And then as Elizabeth is pulling up the grading, Theo, I'm going to look to you a little bit for your thoughts on that as well.
So all of the trees were, it was an agreement with Public Works to remove trees on town land. So that had nothing to do with the tree preservation bylaw.
Okay. And so trees taken down, were there trees? Yep.
So these were the trees on town property that were taken down.
Okay. And then going back to the grade, what would be taken down then for this?
Is basically everything at the rear of the property.
In my memory, most of that's gone, right? And what's left up there?
All of
Can you hear me, anybody?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Oh, no, everything has been cut down. Everything, we had, when we first bought the property back in 2015, we did a bunch of clearing work. And all that work was, sort of in 2017, 2018. And then we were going back and forth with the town on some, trees that were definitely in decline. And then somebody, I guess, called the building department and said that we were cutting down trees and moving a bunch of fill around, which was actually incorrect. We haven't been doing any work for the last couple of months. And so I had sent that to, is it Paul who works in your department, right?
Yeah, Paul Creedon.
Yeah, so I had just sent that to him because he was interested in finding out what was going on. That was the only reason that I sent that to Heather, I think, this morning, but that was probably a mistake. I should have sent it directly to Paul, you know? In other words, I don't think it really matters, and we'll definitely file for a tree permit. You know, I'd also like to say that, you know, the size of the house that we're building is significantly narrower than the existing house. So, you know, in terms of, you know, whether or not you're going to see more house on top of Windmill Hill, I actually think you'll see less house than you presently see right now.
I think, Robbie, that's what you were, one of you were saying, and I said, I thought the same thing. You're taking off the second floor of the existing house, and the gable end there of that house is fairly small. I just, unfortunately, it being such a sensitive area, I think that we need to see that out in the field marked out. That was my thought. But I agree with you in theory that.
I mean,
right.
another thing that we could do to mitigate the gable end would be to make that end of the roof into a hip, which we would prefer not to do because it's not really in the architect's, you know, it's like painting a mustache on the Mona Lisa. We'd rather stick with this design because we honestly don't think that it's going to be worse than what's there right now. It'll actually be significantly less house because you can see the top of the roof of the wing that we're removing also from Bedford Road if you're looking up. And you know, we feel that the fence that we put in also helps to mitigate the view of the house from Bedford Road. And honestly, I mean, well, I just don't think anybody's really going to notice once the house is up. There's a lot of houses out there.
Elizabeth, were you going to say something?
So I have a basic question. When we talk about the house, are we talking about the new house?
Yeah, well, there's
The
two
construction of the new house.
Yeah, there's the new house
So
and there's the existing house. And the existing house is going to have the west wing removed. If you move the hand.
right, so that I understand.
That gets completely removed. And on the existing house, the second floor gets completely removed on the existing house.
So that I understand. That I understand. So the conversation was that the new house will not be seen
No, I think
from the cemetery or
I
Bedford Road?
I think you will see about halfway up the second floor, you'll start to see the house because there's a fence that we put along the south property line. And, you know, we also want to, you know, put in some tall trees because we really don't want to look at the houses on Bedford Road any more than the houses on Bedford Road want to look at us. So we would be planting some, you know, green giant arborvitaes or something like that, which would be fast growing and would screen us.
You just think that'd be a
So
long.
I don't know of any arborvitae that's going to screen a 35-foot tall house.
Well, you know, I think.
So this right here, this elevation, this is the elevation that faces the cemetery.
No, that elevation right there is looking
This is the
at
garage.
the cemetery, but it's not looking at the, it's like a dense forest between us and the cemetery. You really won't be able to see that side of the house from the cemetery. I mean, maybe in the wintertime,
Okay.
you'll be able to see it more.
So that, right, so that was my question. This plan shows all of this grading happening.
Yeah,
This is all new grading for this driveway.
That's already in.
So all of this grading was done already for this driveway, all the way back to here?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, we're a little low still on the, in the parking area. But, you know, I mean, yeah, most of that
So-
grading has been done. I mean, if we can't build the house, we want to have a level lawn.
When was, so when was that grading done?
I don't know, 2 years ago, I did a little bit this summer. And yeah. I mean, do
Okay,
I
so,
do I
you know,
need a permit to do that grading?
if it's in, you need a tree removal permit to do any removal that's associated with a project of this nature.
But we
So,
didn't even have the drawings done for this when we were trying to, you know, straighten out the property. That was all unusable land, the way it was. And as far as,
well, I leave it up,
there were virtually no trees within the setback area when we bought the house. Back in 2015.
I mean, Elizabeth and Ray, this is a little bit your purview here. Ray, have you looked at the site?
I haven't been up there, but in the tree bylaw, if the trees were cut down a year prior to him building the house, then the tree bylaw is no longer valid. We had that happen on Oak Road a couple of, the homeowner clear cut a whole part of his property, did an A&R and cut the trees down. He was notified that, you know, he would have to apply for the tree bylaw. And he said, I know, I have 1 year and 1 day, and then I'll come back and apply for my permit. So if Tom could show that the trees were taken down more than a year ago, I don't think the tree bylaw will be valid. Elizabeth?
nobody just said he did work this past summer to create the level.
Grading.
Well, we did do work, but we cut the trees down. I mean, I can show you receipts from Acorn in 2017, 2018, when we cut down the majority of the trees. And furthermore, there were no trees that were in the setback that were over 6 inches.
But I think the grading might have an effect on the existing grade for the new house. So I don't know, when does the existing grade start? So when the surveyor does the proposed plot plan, it's proposed foundation, existing grades at the lowest corners prior to any grading or mounding. So I don't know how that gets captured in this project.
It looks at the, I'm looking at the grading plan, and it's already the which is actually what's called the plot plan showing grades here. It does already show a level area. When was the pool built?
This past summer.
This past summer.
Yeah.
So the grading was done for that pool. You know, so it was indeed built up the whole, and it goes to your point, Ray, that the whole back lot has been filled up already, but which is fine. I don't think there's a permit for it, except that if we want to go back to grades, to what's natural grade, then we're, you know, it gets a bit tricky here. But it looks like the majority of the grading as what it shows on the existing condition plan. It looks like the majority of the grading was put in place in anticipation of the grading plan as it is, you know, before us now.
So I disagree. So
with what?
disagree based on the plans that have been provided. This is a certified plot plan stamped by the engineer dated October 2020. this is the, oh.
Yeah.
Okay, can you still hear me?
Yep, we can.
So this is the grading here. This is the grading this way. Here's elevation 100, and here's the grading. Here's the proposed grading for this whole driveway. That is significantly different than this existing plot plan.
But if you go, that the whole plateau that the pool sits on, that whole plateau with the gravel driveway that's shown, that's all, I think, it's shown as existing here, as in this is our existing topo where we're taking the grades from. But that's all being filled in, and there's still more fill to come. And especially on the what's that, the southern corner of the house, you know, there.
The southeast.
But where the house sits, where that 28 foot dimension is, in the southern there, you know, that.
It's pretty close now. I mean, it's not.
Well, it's you know, your finished floors are 103, and it shows you're at, what's that, 98. It looks like, so you still need to come up a good 5 foot there.
Well, that's what we took it off of. We said it was 99.5, I think. Isn't that correct, Ray?
Yeah, but the point here is that, you know, that's it. The calculation of the height goes from the existing grade, and I think this existing grade was put in place sometime this summer and made a new existing grade. So, you know, so by bringing the grade up, you're helping yourself with your height calculation. So that's a little bit, I think, where what the issue is here. But because what you're showing here as existing grade is not natural grade. So
does this this
don't know
plan? So this plan right here does not show elevations. So that becomes more of an issue if you're talking about creating this whole hillside from this.
Yeah, well, it shows an elevation in front of the garage as 103, and so you can count contours, right? Assuming they're 1 foot contours, you can count contours. So you can, if you go to the other plan that you just had, the proposed.
This is the this one?
No, the one that you had, the grading plan.
That's this
one. This one, that's that one. So there is in front of the garage is a spot grade of 103. And also to the north of the house are several contours, but there's a spot grade of, we can't see it, of 103. So you can count contours now, right? So the top right corner of that parking court is say at least 2 foot proud of the property line. So the whole parking court sits pretty proud of everything because it's on the top of the hill, right? It's catching up to grade. So you know, there was actually there was a 102, just right there is a 102 grade. Yep. So you could see how it slopes down towards the cemetery, and especially on the right hand side, if you will, that cemetery. I think there is, given the fact that it's a parking court and then that slope is being put in place, there is no screening. These views are pretty open.
It's very wooded.
So that's
It's dense woods to the east. See where it says Town of Concord?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't remember. I mean, I remember looking over there, and I thought it was pretty open. But
If you look at
But I think-
if you go back to the town report that you had uploaded, there's photos of the east end of the property. And you can see that, you know, there's a lot of trees there between us and the cemetery. It's probably, I'm going to say 50 yards of trees.
Can we do that? Can we go back to those photos?
So can you not see the aerial photo?
I can.
So this
not
is
at the moment,
the
no.
current house.
I don't see a
Um,
photo at all. I'm still on the,
Oh, hang on. Okay, hang on. We'll try this. How's that?
Nothing here.
Does that work?
nope. It just says that you have started share. Oh, there you go.
Oh, there
Okay,
you
we're
are.
there, we're there.
Yeah.
Great.
So,
So-
yeah, I
There
remember. I
might
remember.
be trees.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna, so obviously this is becoming challenging and there's still some questions. I'm going to, I know the board went out individually. I think this is a case where it will be important to maybe next week, find a time. We will have Heather post a site visit so all of you can be there. And coordinate with the applicant. It may be helpful in this instance to have story poles put up for, you know, like the corner, where the corner of the garage is and the corner of the house, to get an idea, because while this may be wooded in the springtime, it's not very wooded in the winter.
I think that would be very helpful. Robbie, Theo, you guys agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Sure.
And that's what I was saying. Just, I think more information on that would be good. Any other questions? I want to kind of get to public comment if we can. Is there anything else from Robbie or Theo?
Can I throw in one more little 2 cents?
Sure, go ahead.
That is that when we first bought the property, you could see our really ugly house from Monument Street. I mean, you could literally see it from Monument Street. The people who had bought the property from us had cut down all the trees. The neighbors were furious. It was really, really bad when we bought the property. We have spent a lot of money trying to clean up the house so that you really can't see the house, even from Windmill Hill Road, from the bottom of the hill, you can't see it. That will be our intent, to try and carry that same theme going all the way around. Now, the fence that we put up along the south property line does in fact screen, you know, our property from Bedford Road. And, you know, we're planning on planting ivy all along the fence. When the fence begins to fade and the ivy grows up, we're really going to be mitigating the view of the house. You know, you really won't see it. So I think if you look at the project as a whole, I think what we're doing is actually benefiting the community. We're not taking away from it.
And I agree with that. I think, as I said earlier, you know, when obviously one thing I notice when I'm out on site is the landscaping, and I think you did do a ton of screening already. So I totally agree with you, and I'm pretty confident you are going to do the same thing on the other side of the property. But you know, it would be nice to see that on a piece of paper.
I understand.
Yeah.
So that,
Do
that
we
would
have
be
a
good.
landscape plan?
We do, sure, yeah. We can
That would be great. I
Yep.
totally agree with Theo, and I thought what had been done was really nice with the landscaping, but I would just feel negligent in my job to not go out there and take a look at this with more understanding what it was gonna end up looking like. So
I'm totally okay with that. So, and Elizabeth, I understand, your perspective on, the existing grades as they were when we bought the house. I moved forward on all of that grading because it was my understanding that we are not in the historic district. And when John Minty was around, I used to have conversations with him about what we are permitted to do. For instance, at 204 Nishotic Road, where we bought the old carriage house up there, lifted it up, put a floor in underneath it, and we did some massive contouring, which made all the difference in the long run. We ran into a lot of resistance from Holly Kratsley and some of the other neighbors who were living right around us. But at the end of the day, they actually called to apologize and say, we think what you did is actually pretty good. So, I really feel confident that whatever we're doing up at Windmill Hill Road, at the end of the day, it's going to be really nice. And I think we've demonstrated that with other projects that we've done, here around town with the Orchard House Foundation and, some of the church steeples and flagpoles that we paint and all that kind of stuff, in addition to the houses that we've built out on Pope Road, 204 Nishotic, 103 Assabet. We've been in town for a long time. I feel like what we're doing here is going to be a benefit to the community as opposed to a detraction.
understood. I think we're just doing our due diligence, so we know we've done it. But
Yep.
if it's all right, let me go ahead and open a public comment. If there is any public comment, anyone out there? Heather? No? All right. Well, then let me go ahead and close this. Are there any other points we want to bring up now, or should we discuss more once we've gone out again? Theo, I was kind of expecting for you to talk about some drainage issues. I don't know why I would do that, but
This is the second time, so I already have a name now here. No, I think we talked out on site. The applicant had mentioned that there is going to be a dry well installed, and he also mentioned that he needs to send some drainage plans to Heather today. So I'll be looking at that, but there was some additional infiltration already installed in the existing conditions, which is appreciated. And I also was told, and that's why it's nice. I would have otherwise conditioned it if it weren't on a plan, but there is at least one dry well planned for the new house to take some roof runoff. So I'm looking forward to looking at the drainage plan and following up on that. But I think that's going in the right direction.
great. Ravi, anything you want to raise? Oh, Elizabeth. Sorry, Elizabeth wanted to head. But you said no anywhere, Ravi.
I just wanted, is it possible to come up with a day for a board site visit for next week now? Like maybe next Thursday morning?
Next Thursday, let me see. Next
Thursday afternoon?
Morning is better for me.
Next day, Thursday morning works for me.
So far,
It'll have to be like after 9:15 for me, but I can do it.
9:30?
9:30 works for me.
Working from home is easy now. I don't have to come from downtown Boston.
Okay, so I'll have Heather schedule post the site visit for 9:30 for next Thursday. And then
Yep.
Do you know like where you want story poles placed?
I was gonna say, let's be really clear so we don't, so we have what we want when we get out there. Story poles at the,
Each of the corners?
and the ridge of that gable end.
I can do that.
But we'll see. Each of the
This ends?
corners. Yeah, but I think, yeah, that end, Elizabeth, and that end, right? Yes. Anyone
Okay,
else?
so you want,
I already staked those corners. I don't have a stake in the, on the east end of the building.
Stakes so we can see height, or just, because we're gonna go out.
Yeah, no, I'll put up a story
yeah,
pole.
a story
Okay, great. Yeah.
Figure out how to get a 30-foot high pole up, and I'll stand that up with some guy wires or something. And then
Perfect.
we'll stake each of the corners of the house. Does that sound okay?
That sounds like a plan.
That sounds great to me. And then, so I guess, will we meet at the actual property? We could walk around. So after that, okay. Great. Anything else? That's very helpful. I appreciate it. And
Now, do I have to have a surveyor lay that out, or are you guys comfortable with me laying it out based on, you know, the setbacks from the pool and all that stuff?
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, a foot or two doesn't make a difference here. I think,
Yeah,
you know,
no.
in
The visual of the
location.
height.
Right,
Yep.
right.
So that's great. Okay, so I guess that's it. And I guess need a motion to continue this until, when is our next meeting?
February 11th.
And we have nothing at 7 or 7:05?
7:05.
7:05.
I make a motion to continue the application of Commons in Newbury LLP for a special permit under section 713, 715, 11.6 of the zoning bylaw. Et cetera, at Windmill Hill Road to February 11th at 7:05 PM.
Second.
All right, all in favor, Mr. Faia?
Aye.
Mr. Kindermans?
Aye.
Ms. Akers-Moore, aye. Thank you very much. We will see you soon.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for allowing me to keep this in play.
We're
Thanks
having
very
fun,
much.
so
See you soon.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
take care.
All right, 7:20 Concord Country Club. Applicant has requested a continuance without discussion. But we can discuss whether to give a continuance, right? Sounds like a continuance is warranted based on submission deadlines and ongoing
So-
conversations.
Yes, the applicant is still pulling together information for Concord Public Works and was not able to get that information to town staff to review in time for the Public Works Commission meeting, which I think was yesterday. So it was pushed out to the Public Works Commission meeting in February.
So when is that Public Works? They want February 11th, but when is the Public Works meeting?
I have no idea.
I'm just wondering whether it should be
Yeah,
continued.
I think it's the Wednesday before. Give me, I can tell you in 2 seconds. Well, maybe not. Hang on. So, will my, yes, I think it's the Wednesday before. Yep,
Okay,
so the 10th.
the 10th. Do you think that, all right, so I mean, I'm fine with February unless you think there's a reason to do it till March. Or we just do it till February and see if they come back and ask for March. Okay,
We can always, postpone again.
okay. Do I have a motion?
I move that we move the special permit hearing for Concord Country Club to February the 11th at 7:05.
7:10, right?
7:10.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, Mr. Faya,
Aye.
Mr. Kindermans,
Aye.
Ms. Akers-Moore, aye. Great. All right, so on to administrative business. I gave my comments on the minutes. I think everyone read them, gave comments. We all or read them and are ready to approve them. And then, yes, I saw your updated one. So, motion to approve those minutes.
A motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
Did you? Yeah.
Great. Mr. Kindermans,
Aye.
Faya,
Aye.
Ms. Akers-Moore, aye. Okay. Anything else, Elizabeth, Ray, anyone?
Ray, that comment, Vanna, this is going to be an easy meeting. It's still an
I
hour
know.
and a half.
Sorry.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you so much.
Sorry. I'll never say that again.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. And I guess we will meet again soon, perhaps on a site visit.
That would be great. Weather, I just checked the weather. Looks dry, a bit cold, but it should be good for next Thursday.
That's great.
So,
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
okay. Thank you so much, all.
Adjourned.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.